And welcome. Welcome to another episode of Taboo Talk, featuring your very own pastor, me, Lady Charmaine Day. Today's episode is guaranteed to be full of sensitive, intimate, natural conversations rarely talked about in the spiritual community. So now get ready for your own spiritual consultation. Are you ready? Great, let's begin. How are you, beautiful? I know you are marvelous, incredible, phenomenal, and well put together, because those are all adjectives I would use to describe you. You simply are a wonderful example of God's work in motion. And you help so many people. I mean, my goodness, you go out your way to be kind and thoughtful. And that is so rare today. Let me give you a warm round of applause for being so thoughtful and kind. Yay! Continue doing what you do because God works through people and He's working through you to be a blessing to others and also to bless you. I have three announcements before beginning the show. The first announcement is to please download for free the Lady Charmaine Day app. This app allows me to communicate with you directly from your phone. You can watch Taboo Talk Virtual Show from your phone, listen to archive shows, the Taboo Talk Radio Show, read my blog. You can call me with a prayer request, and there's a tip calculator and a QR scanner for your convenience. So please download for free the Lady Charmaine Day app, available for Android and iPhone users. Also, when you have a chance, please visit www.ladycharmaineday.com. There you can read my blog, learn more about this ministry, see Taboo Talk Virtual Show, and while you're there, you can visit the store to make a purchase. It's through your purchases that I'm allowed to keep my ministry going. And my ministry is done through my social media, through my app, the Lady Charmaine Day app, through my website, and through my Taboo Talk Virtual Show. So if you're following me through any one of those mediums, I consider you part of the ministry and you're prayed for all the time. And when you make a purchase, I'm able to continue to do the work that I'm doing. So thank you. And my last announcement is to thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This show is a success because you are part of it. You tune in, you watch, and you continue to come back. So thank you so much for your time. I love you. Well, I have to tell you, today we are in for a treat. We have a living legend in the business and so many other industry worlds that I don't even know how to begin by just saying he's a living legend. That's all I can say. He's an author, a professor, a HBCU spokesperson, and he's a professor, and he runs his own business. He's the CEO of One Diaspora. And I want you to welcome me and welcome him for this great April conversation about entrepreneurship. Help me by helping you welcome the incredible Christopher Cathcart. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I am fine, and I am very honored to be here. And you are way, way, way too kind with your introductions. I if I owe you money, it's on the way. But I appreciate it.
Well, I brought you here to kick off Entrepreneurship Month because I couldn't think of anybody better than you to start us off with business, how to do it, how to get it, how to keep it. Anywhere you want to take us, we want to learn from you.
You know what? I when you first approached me about this show, because we've talked about this is the third time, I think.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because whatever we set up as the main topic, we often hit many things.
Yes.
And I think last time we talked, it was last summer, and we were talking about Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. And so I wanted to take today because I've been teaching. I've been teaching at Cal State Northridge out here in California, and there's certain tidbits and things I drop on my students, but that are I think important for everybody.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs, everyday folk. And so, but the rule I have today is I want to engage you. So we're gonna have a conversation. So I do want to ask you a couple of questions. How long have you been doing this now? I'm flipping the script on you. How long have you been doing this now?
Oh, excuse me. We're all right. This is Taboo Talk. We can do anything. I've been in business doing online ministry since 2008.
And what made you start?
I became a pastor and I wanted to do online ministry versus brick and mortar because I wanted to get into people's hands where they needed information. I figured they didn't need me to be a quote unquote pastor. They needed me to give them information right in the palm of their hands so they could be informed and go about their spiritual journey.
And how satisfying has it been? I
It's
sense it's been quite satisfying.
it's very satisfying.
Because I want your listeners to know, I want to take a minute to talk to you about that, is that, lots of people host shows, podcasts, radio shows, but you may not often hear from them until they want to book you, right?
Right.
But I hear from you all the time. But let me be clear. I don't mean just random hellos. It's like, if there's a holiday or just a positive spiritual message, and it has nothing to do with when are you available and when the next show is. And I really, because I know if you're hitting me that way, you're hitting a lot of people that way. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to know that matters. It resonates because, we're not machines, we're human beings, we're people, and to be appreciated and considered and have that kind of respect extended to you means a lot. So thank you. So I just wanted to throw that out.
That means a lot to me because I do it so often and sometimes people don't respond, so don't know what people think. So thank you so much.
No, you're gonna laugh. You're a pastor and I'm a heathen, so we're probably the best combination.
We're the best combination.
A couple of things I want to start to tell your listeners. One of the things I wrote a few points, as you can see, that I just, and these aren't necessary business things, but some are. These are life and business because I don't think you can disassociate the two.
Amen.
So the first thing I like to say is know your brand. Yes. For your listeners. Know what your brand is. Then the brand is the thing that makes you distinct or unique or special, not that makes you better or worse. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to young people, I always tell them one of the mistakes I made coming up was that I didn't think about my brand until much later in the game. Mm-hmm. So, but at any point, it's never too late in the game to start thinking about what makes you unique, what makes you special. And the rule of thumb, the little cheat sheet I give people is think about what you're passionate about. What are your passions? What are the things that you really, really care about in life? Yes. And what are your skills? Yes. So because I have to imagine the point where your passions and your skills connect, that has to be a really, really good place for you. Amen. And probably your brand will derive from where those 2 points meet. So I say, think about your passion. So for me, like you mentioned some of the open, working with young people, teaching, volunteerism, advocating for HBCUs, those are passions of mine. So they fit into my brand distinction. And then, public speaking, writing, teaching public relations techniques, branding techniques, these are skills. So those things help define my brand, but everybody has one. So I would just urge your listeners to take a few minutes and think about what their brand is. And if you need to, get a piece of paper, write down, what am I really passionate about? If you need a guide for that, if you didn't have to work for money, how would you spend your time? What would you do? Generally, those things you would do when you didn't have to hustle for a dime, fit into what your passions are. Another point I like to make is be a great communicator.
Christopher, before we move on,
I'm sorry.
So many people use the word brand. But what does brand mean? Can you define it for people?
Yes, it is. And I'll say it again. The brand is simply the characteristics that distinguish you.
Gotcha.
Think about all the hamburger joints. They're all kind of hamburger joints, but there's certain things that distinguish each one. So the Wendy's brand is different than the Burger King brand, is different than the McDonald's brand. Even though they're very similar, they still have distinguishable points. So the things that make you unique, are special. It's not a logo. It's not like, because the Nike swoosh is just to remind you of Nike's brand, what Nike stands for. So LeBron James has a brand. He doesn't have a logo. But when we think of LeBron James, we think about what? Leader, hard worker, social justice, great athlete. All these things are distinguishable characteristics about him. Even though there's other NBA players, he still has a brand unique to him.
That's true.
So your listeners, they have one. And I think to be successful in anything, volunteerism, work, whatever you want to do, having some sense of what makes you unique or special is powerful. And
Excellent.
if you don't have it, think about it.
All right. And use those two questions that Christopher said. What would you do if you didn't have any money?
You know,
Advice.
when I pose it to my students, I always go, "Oh, I live on the beach." And I go, "You get tired of hanging out after a while. You're like 19, so you're going to spend the rest of your life like with your feet up." No, eventually you would do something that mattered to you. So thinking about what that thing is. And
That's
if
right.
you could do that thing that matters to you for a living and use your skill set as something you're good at, working on something you care about, in a way with something you're good at, that has to be as close to the perfect job you can have. So
It
that's
is.
that. So knowing what your brand is at least a roadmap towards getting there.
Amen.
That
That's
good?
a great one. Yes.
So the other one was be a good communicator. And I mean like be able to write clearly and be able to speak and represent yourself. Now, I want to be clear. You don't have to be Ernest Hemingway or Langston Hughes, right? Nor do you have to be Dr. King, right?
Right.
But you can still communicate. And I really, when people tell me, well, I just don't write and I hate speaking in front of people. I go, well, don't surrender to your weaknesses. Don't lay the shield down because you're uncomfortable. Work through it. Like I said, you don't. Good writing is forced, clear thinking. A buddy of mine told me once, right? When you
Mm,
can write clearly, it basically makes you think clearly. So being able to write and express yourself, and I don't care what the profession is, it's important. And being able to get in front of folk and present yourself, present your ideas, represent
yes.
your organization. Like I said, you don't have to be Malcolm X. Not everybody's going to be the great orator or Barack Obama or Shirley Chisholm or somebody like that, but don't surrender to it. So try to work on being a good communicator. And in that vein, and this is the one that I'm a big stickler for, be a good listener.
Mm,
I
amen.
mean, don't just wait for the other person to stop talking so you could hop in. Like double dutch. I remember when I was a kid, me and my little friends, we used to mess with my sister and her friends. She's like 5 years older than me, and they be doing that thing, double dutch. And I've been watching them like we hopping in and out, right? And we go mess with them. We go in there and like we act like we're gonna do it and we mess it up. But so sometimes when I'm talking to people, I get the sense they're like playing double dutch with the conversation. They're
Mhm.
really just waiting for the next opportunity to hop in. And I'm
That's
like, no, you have to listen because you never learn anything talking
true.
except how to talk. Listening is generally when you learn things about other people or your surroundings or something you're interested in. So, you know, work on being a good listener. And
Mm,
with that, work on being a good storyteller.
mm,
Tell a good story. Almost every book's a good story. Every poem, every play, every movie, every TV show, every speech is essentially a good story with a beginning and a middle and an end. And I tell people when I teach the public speaking classes, I go, every great speech has great stories in it. Because when you like if I told you my life story, I'm from Plainfield, New Jersey, and my home life was like this, and then I went to Howard University and I got a job and I did this and all that. You'll hear that, but you'll listen to the story.
yes.
When I'll say, but there was a time when I was 12 and I had this conversation with you'll naturally be like, oh, I want to hear what this is because it may resonate with me because it may remind me of something that I can relate to.
Amen.
So telling a good story is a very good power to have in any business. Because if for the entrepreneurs out there and you want to go pitch new business to a client and you can weave in a good story that pulls them in, it's different than you just go there and you throw X's and O's at them. Right. So am I moving too fast? Let me know if I'm moving too fast.
No, I'm just about to say something on that. I agree with you totally. I used to work for Stromberg Consulting as a head of human resources, and I would train consultants exactly on that point to learn how to tell a story. If you can get somebody listening to you and engaged in whatever you're talking about within the story, then you can pull them in as a client very easily.
Yes, because we listen. We're almost wired to pay attention to them because,
Yes.
like I said, almost all the dominant forms of communications are stories. So And you're a pastor, so I always say our best storytellers are pastors and comedians.
And I agree. Thank you.
And because they both have messages, and often, I mean, there's no way you're going to tell me Richard Pryor wasn't a great storyteller with
He
great
was.
messages. It was funny, but the stories he told were very, very specific. But you got the message.
It's
That
true.
you may have been rolling on the ground laughing and crying out and laughing so loud, but the story he told resonated with you. So work on being a good storyteller.
All right.
Embrace constructive criticism, reject destructive criticism.
Yes.
Now it's hard to have somebody tell you you need to do something better. You need to change. I mean, listen, we all wish we got thick skin, but you get to be a certain age, you think you got this thing. Right? I'm 50-something years old, I got it. And somebody goes, I don't think you're doing this the right way.
Mm,
And I think, but you also know when someone's telling you something to uplift you, and when someone's telling you something because of their own insecurities, they're trying to drag you down.
it's true.
So you get to be a certain age, you can make a distinction. So embrace the constructive criticism, reject the negative criticism, be conscious enough to tell the difference.
I tell you, when you get criticism, thank God for it because that's free advice to help you grow and get better. And if you look at it like that, then it can only be a help, not a hindrance.
Yeah, you're never too old to self-correct.
Exactly.
You never, I mean, it's one of the things that come with age is that, when you were a kid, you figure when I was a kid, I thought somebody was 40. No, one, I thought they were old. But Lady Charmaine, then I thought they knew everything.
That's true.
Then I got to be 40. I was like, I don't know a damn thing. I feel like I know less now than I knew 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And so the big epiphany you get in life is when you realize that you don't know that much.
True.
You still are. So, embrace those things. And on that vein, don't compare yourself to other people.
Mm.
Oh my God. When I was a kid, I thought everybody was cooler, smarter, more together. In college, you look at somebody and they just seem so together. And then you'd be like, wow, I sure am lacking. How come I'm not so together? Because I didn't know what they were going through. One time I was like, everybody had this stuff with them. Everybody was insecure. Everybody had, and so the comparing yourself to other people, you're always going to come up on the short end,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
and don't ever assume because you think you got issues and your thing's not together that everybody else is cool. Everybody has their thing with them. It may be different, but they have their thing with them. So don't compare yourself to other people. And with that, define success on your own terms.
Mm. Yes, exactly.
I mean, have you ever thought about, and this is me asking you a question, like your concept of what success is for yourself?
I had measurements, goals, and I said when I hit certain X, Y, and Z, I'm successful. And I've hit those markers already. So I'm very happy with what I set out to do and what I'm doing now. For example, online ministry in 2008, first of all, no one heard about it. No one knew what it didn't exist. So I was doing something brand new. Same thing with internet radio, telling people I'm on the radio, but it's on the internet. They're like,
Right.
internet radio, who? How do you do that? So, and now it's commonplace.
Yeah,
Now,
you were doing it was fresh out the gate. Nobody knew what
fresh
it was.
out the gate, no one knew what it was. Same thing with online ministry. Today, because of the pandemic, all churches are closed. So they're doing what? Online ministry.
Online ministry. But I mean, but have you for your idea of success, are you done?
No, I have more to do.
You want to do, but you define it for yourself.
Yes.
And I think that that's important. When I talk to young people in particular, I go, don't get caught up in what society says you're supposed to do to be successful, or supposed to have to be successful, or supposed to be in life to be successful. You have to define it in ways that satisfy your own sense of self.
It's true.
And that's not easy to do because I mean all the trappings of what we consider success around us, the cars, the trips, the houses, all the extravagances we see on social media make us think that unless we have those things, we're not successful. And until we get them, we can't be successful.
I disagree.
So you gotta define success on your own terms. And this one be wary of social media.
Uh-oh. Now you're talking to entrepreneurs now.
No, but I mean, here's the thing.
Okay.
Be mindful if you're using it as a tool or a toy.
Deep. That was deep.
Is it a tool or a toy? Because by definition, when it's a tool, it's about your audience, a broader mission, some message you want to send that will help others, uplift others, inspire, educate. If it's a toy, it's about you. Now, that's fine, but be clear, because if you think you're using it as a tool, but you're really using it as a toy, those of us, we see that. we you can make it sound like it's for us. What we really know is just you enjoying yourself, which is fine, but just be clear if that's what, I'm not saying you can't do it, but be clear, is it a tool or a toy? Because I mean, it has a lot of power.
Yes, it does.
So I'm not tempted. So I think that most of your listeners, if not all of them, I'm sure use it as a tool. But I'm sure they also seen it used as a toy. So just be mindful of it.
That's right. And social media is a powerful tool to be very careful with. Know what you're doing when you're putting content on it. It stays there forever. Once it's up, it's up. It can't take you. So just really take your time with social media and really plan through what you're going to put up so that it makes sense and it's getting the mark that you wanted to hit.
How has your experience been with using social media? I mean, I know you worked very well for your program.
Yes, thank you. For my social media experience, it's been very good. Early on in 2008, I had a lot of followers and I was doing excellent. Then in 2009, I had a manic episode on social media. And it must have been the first ever meltdown on social media recorded. Because by the end of it, I was kicked out of groups. I was kicked out of everything.
What?
Yeah, it was horrible. And I was a pastor. So I'm on my radio show doing things and everything. So I say that to say that you can mess up royally on social media, become a social outcast on social media, and still come back and be successful. Because that's my
how long ago did that happen?
That happened in 2009.
Wow.
And I built myself back up to what I am today.
So you saw the power of it.
I saw the power of people just defriending you, degrouping you, just get rid of you, push you aside. And it does happen when you say something that is negative or out of the norm. People will castrate you, but you can come back from that, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh wow! No, I didn't know that. But I mean, you weren't the only one, I'm sure, that experienced something like that. I mean,
No.
But like I said, to your listeners, be wary of it. Use it as a tool. Don't live your life on it. And it's a mechanism.
It's true.
It's not a lifestyle. It's a medium. It conveys a message from one point to another. That's after that, don't tie up too much of your personal time into it. Find a mentor, be a mentor, thank your mentor. That's what I like. I think, when I talk to young people, I have this presentation I call Making New Mistakes. And in it, I list some of the mistakes I made coming up that I want them to avoid, particularly when I talk to college students. And one of the first mistakes I made was I waited too late to really get mentors. I didn't really think about like in college, reaching out to someone, asking for help, asking for guidance, asking, can I just shade you for a day or two? Can I come to the event, hang out with you? And I tell young people all the time that find a mentor because they can help you avoid mistakes. You're still going to make them. That's when I make the presentation called Making New Mistakes, I tell the young people, I go, it's not that you're not going to make mistakes, just don't make the same ones I made. So my responsibility to you is to tell you the mistakes I made so you can avoid them, as will be your responsibility to tell the people who will follow you the mistakes they should avoid. And so one of the major ones I made was I didn't wait till I got out of college to get a mentor. It was Terry Williams, a good friend of mine, used to be vice president of Essence, and vice president of communication at Essence Magazine, started our own firm, the Terry Williams Agency, breakthrough agency, led the way for a lot of other independent PR firms run by Black women. And she was a mentor, but I didn't really connect with her until I got out of school. Mm. And when I say thank a mentor, she's dealing with some health issues now. And I'm sure I have thanked her, and I have other mentors too, so I'm using her representative of other folk. But I'm not sure if I thanked her like I should have. And I'm just telling you, if you have a mentor, thank them. Find time to, I don't know if you want to write them a note, take them to dinner, call them and tell them you love them and you appreciate him or her for what they've been in your life. Thank them. And the other thing is be one.
Amen.
And you don't have to wait. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to run a mega church. You don't have to, whatever the thing is, you can mentor someone right now, whoever you are, there's someone that could benefit from your knowledge, your experience, your guidance right now in your life. I don't care what role or position you think you occupy in the world, there's someone who could benefit from you. If nothing else, find a local school and go speak to a class. And if there's a young person there that wants to be an accountant because you're one, and wants to be a lawyer because you're one, wants to be an engineer because you're one, or a pastor because you're one, take that person under your wing and help them.
Amen.
So I mean, how have mentors been in your life?
Mentors have been phenomenal in my life. I've had a mentor since I was 9 years old, and Linda Michelle Barron, and we're still in contact today. She's a phenomenal force in my life. Jeff Poulin, my art teacher, was a mentor to me. He took me underneath his wings. He watched over me in high school, and he's been in my life forever. And he's still a significant part of my life now. So those are my two mentors, and I thank God for them. Linda Michelle got me started in writing. She said, don't give up on writing.
Exactly.
Go to school, go to get your education. So it was her that encouraged me to be a writer and to get my education. And I went on and got my master's because of her at the same school she did. So those little things make you happy. Jeff Pullen, he's always telling me, never stop being smart. Always go for what you know. Don't stop till you reach all your goals. He knew I liked reading. He knew I liked reading romance books. He gave me a subscription to Harlequin romance books back then. And that was pretty huge for me. So, I always thank them. I keep them on my mind in my prayers. I tell them all the time, I thank God for you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So thank you. I do that. And I try and send them gifts all the time.
And you mentor back too, right?
Yes, I do. I have several mini me's underneath me.
Now it seems so easy to think about, but I mean, a lot of us either we don't reach out. And I tell young people, I go, make an older person say no to you. When I talk to high school students or college students, I go, you want to be a psychologist? Reach out to one. Make them say, I don't have time for you. Put them on because we want to help young people. 9 out of 10 folk want to help young people, but you got to go, you got to ask, you got to initiate, and don't be a nuisance, but be a presence.
Yeah.
And in that vein, volunteer. I mean, I don't know what else to say about volunteering. You got to give back. You got to give back. You got to give back. We didn't get here on our own. Whatever you enjoy in life, somebody paved the way, somebody sacrificed. Particularly in our community, there's lots of people who never got the recognition that they deserved, who helped us get where we are. So volunteer, tutor someone, coach a little league, teach dance for free. What do you know professionally? Like we said a second ago in terms of mentoring, get a few folk who are younger than you who want to do what you're doing and talk to them about the profession. You have to give back. And what makes me think about that is I think about playing sports as a little kid. the coaches we had, right? So
Yeah.
I had a football coach, Mr. Wilson, and a baseball coach, Mr. Graham. And so Mr. Wilson, we'd have football practice when I was like 12, 13. And he'd come to practice with like, because this is the 70s, right? So he'd come to practice, platform shoes, Swedish knits, and like a print shirt and, and a leather jacket, right?
Wow.
Because he came right from work. Right. So I never really thought about till I was older. So we never really think about the fact that he was doing that for free.
Wow.
You know, we just thought he was cool. But he was like, no, dude, I got off at 5. I came right here. I don't have time to go. I just, so he come there with his gear on that he wore to work. Like I said, the platform shoes, the Swedish knits. And when I got older, I said, damn, he was doing that for free. Every day of the week. And then Saturdays when we had games, and the same thing with my baseball coach. And so when I got older, I was like, you know, volunteerism. So I wrote a book on it, Lost Art of Giving Back, about volunteerism. That's not to me, that's not a if or maybe situation. I think you have to. Now, you don't all have to do the same thing. So if you want to volunteer in your town or your church, but you have to do something that helps other people where you're not being compensated, you know. I remember one time out here in Los Angeles, when I first got out here, I was working with Big Brothers, and I was working on, it's in my book, and I was working on a creative writing program in South Central, the young brother. So I was working with this young brother, he's like 9 years old. And so I was working with him. He was like, why are you doing this? And I said, why am I doing what? He said, you know, coming here every week and working with us. I went, oh, just to help you guys out. He went, no, are they paying you? And I said, no. He went, they're not paying you? And I said, no. He went, oh. Then we went back to the work. So then we went back to the work, but I realized in his mind, he was like, oh, he's doing it for free. And he was trying to wrap his head around like somebody taking their time out. And there was like a handful of us, the Big Brothers mentors doing it. So I always think about that because I'm like, you know, maybe like when I was a kid, I thought my coach, I never thought about the fact he was volunteering. So then when you're young, you're not really thinking about it. But those people who take out time in their lives to give back to others, it matters. And it matters in ways you can't really quantify financially. So, you know, volunteer. Never give up on yourself.
And before we move on to that point of never giving up on yourself, volunteering is like giving back 10% of your time. And we know we should tithe, we know we should do that. And as entrepreneurs, it's important to give back 10% of your time to something. And volunteering is a great way to do that. It's so fulfilling, it's so uplifting, and it's uplifting to you as well as to the organization and the people that you're impacting.
Yeah, and it you know, we all want to feel valuable.
We
I mean,
do.
there's an innate desire in all people to feel valued, appreciated, and volunteering is a way to. I mean, it's not in and of itself, but it's a way to ensure that aspect of your life is fulfilled because people appreciate you. I mean, you appreciate you. When I out here, I was after I worked with the Big Brothers. I worked with Big Brothers for like 20 years, but I also did some coaching little league teams and just talking to the kids. But you know, they appreciate you, and you understand the value you have in their lives, and it's not based on payment or the salary or anything like that. So, if you want to add to your sense of fulfillment, your sense of value, your sense of purpose, then volunteering is one of the. Plus, you can volunteer on something you love to do. You know, I'm not saying make it difficult, make it easy. So what do you like? You like sports? Then do that. You like dance or the arts? Then do that. You like graphic arts and teaching someone how to paint? I got a buddy in DC, he teaches kids how to paint. He's a painter. Then do that. Do something you love and volunteer, then you kind of win on both fronts.
Amen.
You know? So the other one was just, like I said, about this is when I worked at Motown. I remember when there was a brother named Paris Ely. And I remember he said something to me I never forgot, even though it's something you should always know. But we were talking about something. He said, brother, just always bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. And to this day, excuse me, I remember when he said that. And I don't remember what the conversation was about, but he was like, always bet on yourself. You know, never give up on yourself. And I would tell your listeners, if you if you're honestly trying to get better and you're honestly putting in the work and you try something and fail and you try something and fail and you try something and fail and you get to the 50th time, you know what? Still bet on yourself. That's just how it is. You just don't never always keep the bets on your side of the table. So and that's not easy because it's easier to give up. I remember I had an instructor at Howard University, Miss Fleet, and I remember she used to say, most of the time we fail in our minds, we've already seen it.
Mm.
We've already set the stage for the failure. And so we just fulfill what we already assumed was going to happen. And it made I thought about that, and I was like, I do remember times when I would enter into a situation, I go, well, I ain't gonna be good at this. I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna make it. But I'll go through the motions, and then when the inevitable defeat comes, I was prepared for it. You know, and she was like, don't have the end result failure, then you just go through the motions to live it out. Have the end result success and do everything you can, because 9 out of 10 times you have what it takes to get it done. But you just can't give up on yourself.
Amen.
That makes sense?
It does make sense. It makes so much sense. I have to say that if you bet on you and no one else, you can't let you down. Come on. And at the same time, when you bet on you, you're betting on your inner self and what makes you special and what makes you unique and the things that you bring to the party. You're not depending on other people. Like my ministry, it's done by one person, me. I do it for everything. And by betting on me, I know what I'm producing, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm giving. And I'm in control of that. There's a sense of control when you bet on yourself.
Exactly.
And you know how much you can give and you know how much you can't.
And you're going to fail. There's going to, you're not going to do everything great. You're not always going to win. But I mean, you got to keep at it.
Keep trying.
The law averages say you keep doing it right. You keep trying. You're going to win more than you're going to lose. But you can't give up.
Amen.
And I want to be clear. All these points we're making, I struggle with. I don't want your listeners to think I got all this. These are things that I want to discuss with myself and you and them. And myself as much as anything, because these are often goals. These aren't destinations. I mean, the journey is trying to get to these places. I may never get to many of them, but I want to try. So I just want you listeners to know I'm sharing things not that I've conquered, but I'm trying to.
Amen.
And that we can try to together.
And that makes it even more profound. Thank you.
So really quick, put value on yourself, not just your work. There's really no reason to elaborate on that much more. You're much more than your profession. You bring definition to your job. It doesn't bring definition to you. And I tell people that because I have seen folk who've had really good jobs with highfalutin titles and they get laid off. And then their self-worth, and it's, when I got laid off from Motown, it hit hard for a minute. When your self-worth becomes so tied into what you do is for a living, that can be very tenuous because that can be taken away.
That's right.
And you can't let your self-worth be subject to being laid off. And so when I talk to young people, I go, that goes back to defining success and those things, but place the value on you, not so much the profession. I mean, if you change professions, you wouldn't have any less value as a person.
That's right.
So
that's an excellent point.
And this one, don't hide behind being busy. I'm so tired of people telling me I'm crazy. I'm just so crazy. I got so much going on. Ain't nobody gonna say at your funeral, oh my God, Chris was so busy. I so admired how busy he was. I mean, you got to take time out to enjoy the things around you, appreciate them, involve yourself with them. I'm not saying that people aren't busy and have real responsibilities and things like that, but I think, and I read this somewhere. I don't want to take credit for it. That I read somewhere that busy was like the new status symbol. It's like if you can out busy someone, then you're more important.
Oh no!
You call someone, you go, oh, I just ain't got time. I'm just so crazy. I can't. I have to get back to you in 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, so it used to be like, the corner office, or the expense account, or you had a corporate car. Now, you know like the status symbols with those type of things, and then it's become busy. It's like, I'm just, and then you feel like, well, hell, I'm not busy enough. I actually have time to talk to somebody. I could call Lady Charmaine back and find out what she needs. I can't send a text and go like, oh, I can't hit you now, I'm just crazy. you know so, but I want to be clear. I understand that people are busy, but don't let that become a thing. Don't be so busy that you're detached. um, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm.
I mean, I'll throw that to you. I mean, to be honest. As a pastor, you probably deal with people who need help all the time, but there's so many of us who want to think we're self-contained. And social media, it helps us. It helps us make it difficult to ask for help, because you look on, everybody's so well put together and they're celebrating so many things and everything's so great. And you're like, oh, I don't want anybody to know that I'm struggling. I don't want anybody to know that I'm not doing great. I don't want anybody to know that I need help. Don't be afraid to ask. And I don't care how old you are. I don't care how accomplished you are. I don't care what industry you work in. You may need a helping hand.
Amen. That is so true. Everyone needs help. There's no man is an island. Everyone needs help at some point. And if you need help, reach out, call, extend your hand, say, please raise your hand and say, I need help. Tell people, your closest friends, your family, people who care about you, you need help. Tell the people who can help to get help. Sometimes we go to the wrong people and say, I need help, and then get disappointed when they can't help us. Honey child, they're not the ones you're supposed to be talking to. Talk to the people who know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and think how seldom in life you actually hear someone. Or ask yourself, how often have you said, "Hey, man, I need some help with this"?
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it. Like I said, I want to be very clear to your listeners. I haven't conquered any of these things. I mean, I'm working on some of them are a little bit further on than others.
That's right.
But asking for help, I'm at that point. I was talking to a buddy the other day. Actually, was talking to my class, and he said that to the young people, and a light bulb went off. And I was like, it ain't just for the young people. No, you got to be a college student. You can be anyone at any point, and need help. But you have to be willing to, because people won't know it. People won't necessarily just know that necessarily you need something. You
People
may
are
have
not mind readers.
no. You'll have to articulate it, and make it known.
Right.
So how are we on time? We good?
We're good. And also, the squeaky wheel gets help. You heard that expression, the squeaky wheel gets help? You got to
So
speak.
never stop learning. Always try to introduce something new in your life. I don't. I like going back to the thing about when I was young and I thought that 40 was old, and I thought anybody who was 40 knew everything. I realized they didn't. Then I also realized that you're never too old to learn something, to incorporate something new in your life. It could be a hobby. It could be a new talent, a skill you want. Like I like. And this is going to sound kind of funny if anybody I know watches this, gets a chance to see it. And I hope a few people that I know gets a chance to see it. I like cooking now.
Nice.
I'm not good at it. But Lady Charmaine, it's funny. Like, I used to laugh at people who watch cooking shows.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I go on YouTube and look. I go on YouTube now and look at like a guy make some really cool hamburger, and I'm taking mental notes, and I'm thinking about ingredients. And now, I'm in the grocery now, and I'm looking at vegetables that names I barely can pronounce that I never used before, and I'm like, oh wow, how can I use this? And
Oh.
I need to do something with an artichoke. I actually still don't know what to do with an artichoke, but but I and the funny thing is, my father lives in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So before the pandemic, I was visiting him. He's 80 something years old, and I made him dinner. You know, I can't remember, baked chicken and something else. And so the next day he was like, "Boy, you can cook." And I was like, I went, "No." I said, "Oh, that was good. You can cook." And then I was like, "Oh wow, my father liked my cooking."
Oh.
But I mean, and the really cool thing was that it's the family home on my father's side. Where, you know, his whole brothers and sisters, they were raised. Where I used to go for the summers from Jersey to South Carolina, and my grandmother cooked. So it was really special to cook in the same kitchen that my grandmother, who's passed on some years ago,
Oh,
cooked in.
that's beautiful.
I mean, I don't. I mean, and it actually it made me kind of tear up when I did it, because when I cooked for him, and the next day some of my cousins came by and we all kind of cooked together. But the idea of just cooking in that same kitchen, that as a kid I ran around, you know, yanking on aprons and holding people's legs and things like that. So
Oh,
it
that's
just,
so deep.
but the cooking thing, like I said, so that is something that's fairly new. Where 20 years ago I would have been like, I ain't doing that. So I mean, just so never stop learning, never stop, you know, challenging yourself to experience something new and incorporate some new elements in your life.
Excuse me, Chris.
Sure.
We have a question for the audience.
Uh-oh. This must be a bad news.
No, go ahead, Hero. Go ahead, Omega.
Yeah, I just had a question. Great, been listening to the show, the broadcast. It's been really good, really informative, and appreciate you taking the time out to come and give advice. My question is for you. One question so far. What would you say is the hardest thing that you have to face on the road to entrepreneurship, like on a daily? Like, what is it that helps you to get past that? And what is it that you feel like you may have to fight with on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, as you were saying that, the first thing that came to mind was self-doubt. I mean, I don't, when people be on shows like this, and I want to be clear with you, and that's why I've been trying to, as we were going through this, telling you I'm a work in progress. All of us still struggle with that. I mean, just because the self-doubt is kind of like you putting a parking brake on while you're trying to move forward.
Mm.
And you confidence comes from you actually succeeding in something multiple times. So the more times you succeed in something, the more confident you get. So if I'm preparing for a speech, or I'm preparing to, you know, teach a new class or something, I have to pull back on the many times that I've done it for to give me the confidence to do it. But still the self-doubt creeps in. And I think for all of us, and I don't care what the profession is, entrepreneurial, whatever you're doing, those momentary lapses in confidence, and I don't care who the person is who you think is just supremely confident all the time, they still have those moments where, you know, the table's a little shaky. So the self-doubt, and then the way that, like I said, when I beat back the self-doubt, I just kind of gather myself and I think about the times that I have done it, the times that it has been successful. Um, the confidence that I've had from the multiple times that I've done these things in a way that went well. And it helps get me through those moments of self-doubt, but they still arise. Because any of the challenges you're going to face, I would tell folk, they're always, the major ones will be the ones that come from inside, not the outside challenges, the ones that you create yourself.
Deep. That's true.
So would you say you have to develop a tool, like a mental tool or something like that, that
Yeah,
you...
think about the things that you've done well, the things that you've done successfully. We often, well, let me speak for myself. It seems like I'll spend $1 on the bad thoughts and the times I failed, and a dime on the good ones, you know? So sometimes I have to make, because my mind will start thinking about the times I did stumble, the times I came up short, the times I did fail. And then I have to say, no. You know, there's a counterbalance. There were times that I did well. There were times I was effective. There were times that I hit the mark. And I have to think about those times. And there's more of those times than the bad ones, to be quite honest, after a while. And so, but you have to dig into yourself and say, you know, confront the self-doubt. And it doesn't have to be the thing that you're doing right now. Think about any of the number of things in your life. And I'm sure all of us have done things successfully. Think about the times you've done well, was successful, hit the mark, and then use the energy and the confidence from those things and put it towards what you're doing now. But it's a process, and it's one that never really ends.
All right.
All right, that's great.
Thank you, brother. Are you in New York
Yeah.
or Far Rockaway?
Yes.
The last stop on the what's that? The A train?
Yeah, that's what it's known as.
Dude, I lived in Brooklyn. I remember I went out to Far Rockaway a couple of times, but I know when you look on the map in the New York City subway, that's the last stop.
Yeah, people usually end up here when they fall asleep.
Yes. And then have to go back.
Yeah. It gets a little scary when they come out here for the first time because they go over the water and everything, and they're like, "Where am I going?" But yeah, that's how it is.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So, Chris, did you finish sharing what you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I want and I would like to end with is that think about your legacy, how you want to be, what kind of fingerprints you want to leave on this planet, and then in your mind, and I don't want to use the word eulogy. So if you could write your own homegrown speech, what would be in it? So that's what I think about. Something like what would you want people to say on that day when you're going home, and work on the things that should be in it now. And no one's going to talk about where you lived, what you drove, where you worked, how much money you left, the size of the rims on your car, where you went on vacation. They're going to talk about how you made them and other people feel
Right.
in your life. So think about those things now.
Okay. Omega, did you have another question?
Oh, sorry, I ain't lowered my hand, but yeah, I do have another question. Other one where you were talking about social media, and you had a really good quote saying,
tool or the toy, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Everybody likes that, because it rhymes.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people utilize it as a toy, and I use it as a toy every now and then myself because I go on there and get sucked into the rabbit holes. But I think, do you approach it sometimes as like, for me, because I have a little bit of a background in advertising, communication and stuff, so I always just see it as a billboard. Like it's a billboard or a commercial that you have for your company all the time, and that's it. So I try and keep myself out of it as much as I can, because I know how individuals can affect their brands. And like, sometimes if somebody doesn't like you, just because maybe they see you, going somewhere, having a good time or whatever the case may be, then they'll want to stay away from your brand because they don't want to contribute to your success or whatever it is, out of jealousy and stuff. Or they just made different opinions, like, you got Republican and Democrat and stuff like that. So trying to figure out, how much of you do you put into your social media, and how much of your business, how do you figure out a balance for yourself?
Well, if once you have an idea what your brand is, once again, then whatever I put on there reflects the brand. So like the fact that I was going to be on the show and Lady Charmaine posted it, I reposted it places. I'll put on there that I was on the show after this. I may talk about HBCUs on there in terms of like the NFL combines going on for HBCU football players. So I'll post something like that. It may not be about me directly, but it'll be about something that's a brand extension of me. But personal stuff like I'm at lunch, no. Like when I'm on vacation, no. Like if you would, I don't post things on there that if you were standing next to me, you wouldn't care that I was doing. Right? Okay. If I'm at lunch, I'm at lunch. There's, nobody needs to know that's fine that I'm at lunch, but I don't need to share the hamburger shot with folk. I'm not getting on anybody, but that's a toy. The tool is when it does something towards, like I said, to further your brand. And then through that, like with Lady Charmaine, when she posts her show, it's not her just talking about her show. It's to a benefit for other people. The people who follow the show, they should know when the show comes on. That is a tool. So anything that I post on there that isn't about any kind of business I'm doing, it is still things that are extensions of my brand.
Okay. Got it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris, can I get your final thoughts that you would like to share with us about entrepreneurship?
Oh, well, listen, I went over so many points. I don't know which ones stick out, but just just keep pushing forward, keep tinkering, never be satisfied, never think that you got the right mix. Always keep adding to it and challenging yourself, growing, expanding, incorporating new things, new ideas, while at the same time maintaining the sense of self. Never take yourself too serious. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. It's just what you do for a living so you could pay your bills, so you could have a life, so you can do other things. It's not, like I said in one of the points, it's not the end all be all what you do for your 9 to 5, entrepreneurial or otherwise. Those things make the other things in your life possible. So never lose sight of that. And always believe in yourself. And like I said, I want to be really clear. I struggle with many of these things, but knowing what they are, that's the first step. The second step is, trying to address them and act on them.
Excellent. Can you please share with us your URLs and where people can reach you on social media and your website?
Yes, the easiest way, because you can get me www.onediaspora.com. So that's www.onediaspora.com. onediaspora.com. And that's my website. On the website, you can see the handles for Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that. And then for the email, if you want to hit me directly, it's chris1dg@gmail.com. So CHRISONE, D like David, G like good @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Any way I can help out, any way you can help me. We can it can be a mutually beneficial relationship. So thank you. Oh, I lost the audio.
Omega, did you have a question?
I think he's on the train. He went to sleep.
Oh, no, I'm here. I just want one last one. I think you sort of expressed it already, but there's always a lot of people like on social media constantly getting on the whole aspect of it's the grind. You got to be on this 24/7, 7 days a week, 365, and I think you sort of touched on the whole thing about, I think time and not being busy all the time. So I guess your stance on that and your view on that is a little different from, most people on social media where they're constantly focused on, you got to be working all the time.
Yeah, but think about this. You mentioned advertising sometimes. Doesn't it become white noise after a while? If you keep seeing somebody promoting something. After a while, you start to expect them always selling you something and you stop paying attention. I mean,
Yeah.
it becomes self-defeating after a while if you constantly grinding, cranking it out. I understand it's the marketplace. I tell people all the time, because I have friends who go, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to be on the internet. And I said, that's not possible, because if you're trying to do business, just imagine in the world, there's a huge market and everybody's there. Well, you need some presence there. You may not have to be like everybody else, but you should have a table set up there where your wares are. So, but don't let the process become the thing. Don't let that be like, oh, I gotta constantly crank out this and crank out that, because those of us who you target, and we blank over after a while. But it's just natural. You're not going to focus every time somebody posts something new if they do it all the time. Mm-hmm. So, your social media should add to the work that you're doing and accent and all that. But the idea of just chronically being on there, then, most folks stop paying attention.
So it's like almost like a television show, right? Scheduled type of thing, like every Thursday.
A lot of people, when it first came out, you did schedule your hits, and a lot of people still do. But I know what you mean about some folk, and I'm not knocking anybody. I mean, if it works for them and their audience, but they're chronically putting things up. But I'm not a big fan of that. But that has to fit what your business model is and what kind of products you service and market. But I'm not a big fan of just chronically having stuff out.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you so much. What you gave to us today was so beautiful. Thank you. The knowledge I wanted the people to get, you gave. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Like I said, you never know. I just hope if anybody could take one or two things that helped them, then it was worth the time we spent. And it's always fun spending time with you. And I look forward to the next time.
Same here. Thank you so much, Chris.
All right, my dear.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Well, we have come to the end of this show. This episode was done because you are so very special and you deserve the knowledge, wisdom, and advice that Chris gave to you to help you be a better person in business. And why did I do that? Because I know your business is important to you and it's important that you have people help you. And all month long, I have CEOs coming on to Taboo Talk to tell you how to do entrepreneurship from their point of view. Thank you, Chris, so much for your beautiful point of view, for sharing with us and helping guiding us. That's what we needed. Until next time, I want to say that Taboo Talk, featuring me, your pastor, exists to help transform your mind, body, and spirit, utilizing the principles of Jesus Christ. Keep tuning in. I promise you, I will keep bringing subject matter experts like Chris onto the show to help uplift you, guide you, and inspire you because you are special. Well, until next time, take care of yourself, stay special. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Omega, for coming. And thank you for being the greatest. You're the best, listening audience. Goodbye. Mwah.